Imagine a world where what you appear to be is often more important than what you actually are. A world where perception shapes reality so profoundly that the truth becomes almost secondary, a shadow behind the mask we wear. Machiavelli, one of history's most astute observers of human nature and power, understood this better than anyone. For him, the art of leadership, and perhaps the art of life, was not simply about being good, honest, or virtuous, but about mastering the delicate, often dangerous dance between appearance and reality. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, Machiavelli said with cold precision. What this means is that humans are wired to make snap judgments based on surface impressions. We trust what we see more than what we learn with effort. We prefer simple stories that fit our biases rather than complex truths that challenge them. And this human weakness, Machiavelli realized, is a tool and a trap. Let's begin by peeling back the layers of this profound insight, exploring what it means to live in a world dominated by appearances and what it means to navigate that world successfully. It is tempting to believe that truth alone is enough, that if you are truly good, just, or capable, people will recognize it and reward you, but history and daily life shows us otherwise. How often do we see people judged harshly not because they failed, but because they looked weak, indecisive, or untrustworthy? How often are leaders toppled not because of disastrous policies, but because of a single misstep in public perception? Machiavelli recognized that appearance is often the currency of power. A leader who appears strong, decisive, and in control inspires confidence and obedience. One who seems weak invites dissent and rebellion. The ruler who cultivates an image of virtue, even if he doesn't always practice it, is often more effective than the one who is virtuous but appears soft or naive. Think about it. How many times have you encountered someone who was charming and confident yet lacked real competence? And how often did you see someone brilliant and kind ignored or underestimated because they lacked presence or charisma? The lesson? Perception shapes reality. In politics, business, and even personal relationships, the image you project can be more powerful than your actual qualities. Now, does this mean you should become a fraud, wear a permanent mask, and deceive everyone? Machiavelli's answer is nuanced. He encouraged the use of masks as instruments of survival, not as weapons of cruelty or betrayal. A wise leader must sometimes hide true intentions, moderate emotions, or present a false front to protect greater goals. Imagine a leader negotiating peace with an enemy. To show anger or weakness openly might destroy the fragile trust necessary for talks. Instead, a calm, composed exterior masks the inner turmoil and calculation. This mask is not deceit for deceit's sake. It's a strategy to preserve peace and gain advantage. Similarly, in everyday life, we wear masks too, during job interviews, social gatherings, or moments of vulnerability. This isn't inherently wrong. It's how we protect ourselves and navigate complex social dynamics. Machiavelli warns sharply against the dangerous habit of taking people and situations at face value. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are, he said. This means that trust must be earned carefully and skepticism must be constant. In politics, trusting the wrong ally can mean ruin. In business, ignoring the realities behind polished presentations can lead to disaster. In personal relationships, believing in illusions rather than truths can cause heartbreak. So, Machiavelli's message is clear. To survive and thrive, you must develop a keen sense of discernment. You must look beyond appearances to see the underlying motives and truths. And at the same time, you must be aware of the masks you yourself wear. Here comes the moral dilemma at the heart of Machiavelli's teaching. If appearances matter so much, and deception can be a tool, does that mean morality is irrelevant? Can we justify lying, manipulating, or hiding the truth for our own benefit? Machiavelli does not give a simple yes or no. Instead, he forces us to confront the complexity of real life. In his view, ethics are contextual. What matters is not rigid adherence to abstract ideals, but the effect of actions on survival, stability, and the greater good. For example, a ruler who lies to prevent a war might save thousands of lives. A business leader who conceals certain facts to secure investment might protect the jobs of hundreds. A parent who withholds harsh truths from a child might spare them trauma. This doesn't mean Machiavelli advocates for cruelty or reckless manipulation. He explicitly warns against sadistic use of power. The mask must be worn responsibly with awareness of consequences. If mastery of appearances is crucial, then self-awareness becomes the foundation of true power. The mask is not just a tool used on others, it is also a mirror held up to oneself. How well do you know your own strengths and weaknesses? How consciously do you manage the image you project? Are you authentically aligned with your mask, or is your public persona a fragile facade? Machiavelli's philosophy invites deep reflection here. The wise leader, or the wise individual, does not blindly perform roles, but understands the interplay between their true self and the masks they wear. This self-knowledge allows you to adapt without losing your core, to navigate the gray zone between honesty and strategy. Ultimately, Machiavelli's insight is a mirror to the human condition itself. We are not purely good or evil, transparent or deceitful, but a blend of contradictions. Life is messy, and survival demands flexibility, courage, and sometimes uncomfortable choices. In embracing the mask, we embrace this complexity rather than clinging to simplistic ideals. We learn to wield compassion and cunning together to balance authenticity with strategy. This is the paradox Machiavelli invites us to accept: to be successful, to lead, or simply to live well. We must sometimes step beyond clear-cut morality into the nuanced dance of appearances and reality. Ask yourself, what masks do you wear in your personal and professional life? Are these masks a conscious choice or a reaction to fear or insecurity? How do you balance authenticity with the strategic presentation of self? Have you experienced the power or danger of appearances shaping your fate? Can you see where rigid honesty might have cost you, or where deception might have saved you? Machiavelli's world is not a place for saints or cynics. It is a world for those brave enough to embrace complexity. He challenges you to step beyond black and white, to wield the mask, not as a weapon of cruelty, but as a tool of wisdom. In a world where appearances shape reality, the power lies with those who understand this dance, and who can navigate it without losing their humanity. Will you hide behind your masks or master them? Will you be a prisoner of illusions or a master of perception? The choice is yours. To truly grasp Machiavelli's teachings on appearance versus reality, it helps to step into history's grand theater where rulers learned, often at great cost, the power of perception. Cesare Borgia, the son of Pope Alexander VI, is often cited by Machiavelli himself as the embodiment of a leader who mastered appearances. Borgia's ruthless ambition was cloaked in a carefully cultivated image of strength and decisiveness. He was both loved and feared, admired for his charisma and condemned for his cruelty. But crucially, he knew how to appear the ideal prince, charismatic, strong, and merciful when it suited his goals. Borgia understood that to hold power, one must not only be strong, but appear strong. His brutal actions were hidden behind the mask of necessity and order. Even when he was cruel, he maintained a public image of being just and purposeful. Machiavelli praised Borgia not because he was a paragon of virtue, but because he wielded power with clear eyes and pragmatic effectiveness, understanding that the ends often justify the means. Why does appearance matter so much to us? From a psychological perspective, humans crave certainty and simplicity. Ambiguity and complexity create discomfort, and we instinctively seek clear signals to guide our judgments. When a leader or person looks confident, our brains register safety and trustworthiness. When they look uncertain or inconsistent, alarm bells ring. This is why people with strong presence often succeed beyond those with better qualifications or intentions. It's not just superficial. Our minds are wired to respond to cues of dominance, decisiveness, and emotional control. Machiavelli's insight taps into this primal wiring. Master the signals you send, and you master how others will respond to you. Modern society often extols the virtue of transparency, urging leaders and individuals to be authentic and show their true selves. But Machiavelli warns us to tread carefully here. Complete transparency can be a fatal weakness in a world driven by power struggles. If enemies know all your intentions, weaknesses, or fears, they will exploit them mercilessly. Think about a chess player who reveals their strategy openly before a move. They would lose every game. Similarly, leaders who reveal their doubts or real plans to openly risk losing authority and becoming vulnerable to manipulation. Thus, the mask is a protective shield, a necessary veil that keeps power alive and preserves strategic advantage. One of Machiavelli's most controversial ideas is that morality can be flexible when survival and success are at stake. This doesn't mean becoming immoral for pleasure, but adopting a pragmatic morality, one that is guided by results rather than ideals. A ruler who must lie, cheat, or act harshly at times may do so not because they lack morals, but because the context demands it. The greater good or the stability of the state can justify actions that seem unethical in isolation. This challenges our conventional moral frameworks and forces us to ask, can rigid morality sometimes endanger what we value most? Is there a higher ethical responsibility to protect the community or oneself that overrides individual virtues? Yet, there is a paradox in living behind a mask. While it protects, it can also isolate and imprison. A leader who constantly performs may lose touch with their true self, becoming alienated and burdened by the roles they must play. The public mask can harden into a prison where vulnerability is forbidden and trust is elusive. This is the human cost of Machiavelli's pragmatic philosophy. Power demands sacrifice, not only of others, but often of one's own authenticity and peace. Machiavelli's insights are not confined to Renaissance Italy. In today's world, from corporate boardrooms to social media profiles, the mask remains essential. CEOs craft polished public images while managing crises behind the scenes. Politicians carefully manage their persona for public approval. Even individuals curate social media to project an idealized self. The stakes are the same. How we appear can open doors or close them, can build alliances or create enemies. How aware are you of the masks you wear daily? Are these masks enabling your growth or limiting your authenticity? How can you balance the need for strategic self-presentation with staying true to your values? What would Machiavelli advise you to change about the way you project yourself? Please let everyone know your opinions in the comments section.